Hello, how are you? You are muted. Can you hear me? All right.
From country to country, we're breaking through. Real fire rising, dreams come true. Midnight whisper and secret tunes. Oh, well to scale, and here we bloom. Light skies, hearts on fire. Just rolling, rolling stones. No bugs, no breaks.
Good evening, sir.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Proper Experience Working Group. Today, we are going to explore one of the most important areas of Cardano growth. As you know, Cardano is one of the leading top 10 blockchains in the world, but how did they create this very massive good technology till today? How did they do it? Yeah, today's topic is one of the most important one, which all of you really need to take it very seriously. You will see you are not going to go very far in Cardano without understanding today's topic. Let's just give it one more minute, maybe till around 5 past, for some people to come in. But for the meanwhile, just be free. I always have my paper and the pen here. The first thing, meanwhile we are waiting, I would like to, apologize for Sukanya. Sukanya, they've got some healthy issues at home. She's attending to it. She said she's going to be available in August. But I'm going to really invite everyone today that today's topic is one of the most important one we have on Cardano. So pay attention to it, note down your questions, note down your needs, and then be free to ask, because this session is not a lecture. For all students, this is not a lecture. It is sharing and networking. I believe some of our maybe Cardano developers are going to be here also to share their experiences and network with all of you here. Right, I've got 1 more minute before I start. Let me just 1 more reminder to those that are coming that we are starting now. You can share the link that I've shared with you to some of your students and to some of those that you know, so that they can just join. Where's that one here? Yeah, I hope they're going to be all right. Let's start. Right, welcome everybody to Intersect Developer Advocate program. This session is a Cardano Developer Experience Working Group. This session runs 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. You meet me and you meet Suganya every 2 weeks. Then when we are not here on Tuesday, we have got Alex and Udai. They will be running the same similar developer experience working group session. So you can also attend on Tuesdays, and then the following week is a Thursday, the following week is a Tuesday, whatever. We tackle what we see as the most important thing to improve Cardano developer experience in the ecosystem. You see behind me here, a lot of developers. We started together in 2022 when we were doing Bluetooth Pioneer. It was a combination of different countries, different developers, about 3,000, 2,500 to 3,000. Those who completed the first cohort with me are behind me on an NFT. Right, I'm going to start and show you where to start and go. But I'll share my screen. Right, I am going to disable you, that side, switching on your videos, sharing your screens. You can do reactions, turn off your mic, and then once I have done, then I'm going to turn on to allow you to ask questions. But you can type when you need something here on the in-call messages. Right, I'm expecting quite a number. We've invited quite a lot of people who are going to be coming and joining here. Right, I think you have seen the invitation, all of you. Here is the invitation that I have sent to all of you. This is not for developers only, no. It is for all key Cardano contributors, be it investors, be it key stakeholders, be it marketing people, be it developers, be it even huge other holders who are taking part in the ecosystem. This is a platform which allows everyone to contribute ideas on how Cardano must develop, sharing ideas, discussing ideas, so that out of it there is growth. It is never driven by one entity or by an individual. No. We call this platform Cardano Improvement Proposals. What you will go through today, let's discuss, have questions, because we in future, we are going to have some needs, some certain needs. How then do you bring them so that your needs are implemented into the blockchain or onto some of the smart contract development standards? So the Cardano Improvement Proposal, I'm going to play a video. I apologize, the video is a little bit old, but the video has got experts, people who are still there today. In future, I'm going to invite these people to come and talk to you live. But for today, that video was done a little bit 4 years ago, but it goes into details about these Cardano Improvement Proposals. It's a podcast. Right, let me start with a short introduction, where to find the document that I prepared for everyone. Right, to get this short presentation for you that I have today, you have to go to GitHub. I'll send you the link here. I always post here for thousands and thousands of the developers we are having. Go to our GitHub /wims.io/universities/wiki. Right. And then when you get here, where there is a find search bar there, you just type CIP, or Cardano Improvement Proposal. Then you will come across this short document that I prepared to introduce you to this. You are going to be coming across SIPs now and then. So from today, don't be afraid of them. Now you should be having a background information on what they are, their purpose, and how you can contribute to them. So let me go through this very quickly. What is Cardano Improvement Proposal? Right. This is a set of ideas shared across Cardano communities, but they are formalized onto a GitHub repo. If you go to the GitHub there, you will see them here listed. You see here cips.cardano.org. And you'll see they are numbered. We always call them by names. Maybe you've heard people say SIP 1694. Then you wonder, what is this SIP 1694? Today I came across SIP 118. And then I was saying, oh, there is another standard there for something to do with transactions. Then I went in there and then I checked it. But with the list of SIPs here, they number from number 1 up to infinity. It keeps growing. Every time it keeps growing. So this is the list. You can have another link there. Right, let me go back there. Right. One of the things that when I joined Cardano as a developer, to share my experience a little bit, was number 1, I didn't understand how different communities in different ways, they wrote and developed wallets. And these wallets are talking to each other. You have got your seed phrases, you export them from one wallet, you pick up another wallet, and you see it says it is following a SIP standard or SIP 31, SIP 32 compliance. And then it connects, it communicates. Or how do you create a browser extension that connects to a Cardano blockchain or Cardano API? How do you create a Cardano API? There are certain standards which have been discussed, they have been voted for, and some of them have been implemented, and some of them have not been implemented, and some of them have been taken from other blockchains like Bitcoin. On the Bitcoin, it is BIP, Bitcoin Improvement Proposal. This is where it originated from, if I'm not wrong. Then on the Ethereum side, it is EIP, Ethereum Improvement Proposal. If you create your own blockchain, you call it a John blockchain, probably you are also going to have JIP, John Improvement Proposal. These are more like agreed upon standards to be followed by different vendors in smart contract, in developing your blockchain, so that at least there is a central point of everybody discusses this. This is where we are today. So it is very important for everyone. You don't need to be a developer to read about CIPs. No. You need to be somewhat interested in growing the Cardano ecosystem or contributing to it. But if you are not reading, communicating, and keeping a link with the CIPs, they will always affect you one way or another. Right now, we are on the edge of Voltaire, where people are withdrawing funds straight from the treasurer without going via IOG, without going via the catalyst. It was made possible by SIP 1694, which is Cardano Improvement Proposal number 1694. Right. So let me quickly go through this, then I'll show you a video. Then from there, we open it up to discuss. Write down your questions or post them there. The moment I open up for discussions, we can talk about it, because in future, these tips have been created by other people. Some have been imported. You also can in future share your ideas via this platform. So I'll go through it very quickly because I'll give you the link. Please bookmark the link. There is the link to all of you there. All right. Right, Cardano improvement proposals are the formalized design documents and standards by which new features and enhancements are discussed, specified and adopted in the Cardano ecosystem. You should underline design documents, okay, and standards for new features or features that exist on other blockchains that are needed this side. While CIPs span a wide range of topics, they range from ledger upgrades, wallet features, tooling, metadata. This tutorial focuses only on those CIPs directly aimed at smart contract development. But remember, we have a lot of other CIPs that have nothing to do with smart contract development, which affect all other people, which also are needed by other people who are not developers. So features that enable richer on-chain logic, data management for Bluetooth script, and seamless app wallet integration. That is what we are going to give you more as examples. I've grouped these into two. When you go to that SIP, you won't see them grouped. You'll just see them numbered from number 1 up to the current one, and they keep on increasing, which means the Cardano community is very active. So I've tried to group them into those that deal with transactions and on-chain script infrastructure. This is just an introduction to you. When you actually go to this, you open each one, whether you open which one, you will go into details on each, depending on your task on Cardano, what you are doing. Right, the second group that I have here is those on-chain data and metadata standards. Right, I'll run through all of them. I'm not going to read something I've got already given you the link, which you are going to read on your own. I'll try by all means to discuss the foundation so that you really understand how to go about on your own. Before I go through these examples, the CIP, at the bottom here, there is a template. If in future, I always say, always try it out, you also want to prototype creating a SIP or contribute some ideas, there is a template. It follows the following. You need to have the following titles: abstract or created by, then abstract, and then you have got motivation, specification, rationale, path to active, acceptance criteria, implementation plan, optional. This is every SIP follows these titles that you see here. And then if you go to SIP 1, it actually introduces how to go about implementing SIPs. So whenever you get lost and say, all right, I want to understand the nitty-gritties of creating a SIP and contribute to the Cardano, go to SIP 1. Right. That being said, let me quickly run through these groups. The first group that I have shown you here is this one for transaction and on-chain script infrastructure. SIP 31, reference scripts. What it does, it allows transactions to include UTXO as the reference inputs. The script context is augmented so that scripts can read data from these UTXOs without consuming them. There was a problem when you are writing smart contract, you had to supply your data with it. And then that cost more money. And that slowed down the smart contract execution. But with the reference scripts now, most developers for smart contract, they are going to come across this. It allows the data can be referenced somewhere by certain smart contracts. So the data is available once. So there's a lot of efficiency in terms of space and a little lower fees. So this is SIP 31, reference scripts. Right, let's go about 32, inline datums. On Cardano smart contract development, we have got certain information you must supply with your smart contract. So when you create a UTXO, you must attach to it datum so that later on when you are consuming it, you supply a redeemer, and then the is metadata that is attached to the UTXO. The redeemer you supply it when you are consuming the UTXO. These two were mandatory on version 2 and version 1. On version 3, they have been improved a little bit. But when you come across datums, inline datums, you need to click in your head This is CIP 32. Then you go into details. Then we have got a reference scripts. What it does, introduces the reference scripts so that the script code itself can be stored in a UTXO and referenced. It is similar to the reference inputs. So the reference scripts, again, you don't need to be attaching them on every transaction that you go about. But this time you attach it once and refer to it later. So it's efficient. Then CIP 40 collateral outputs. What it does, adds explicit collateral outputs field to transaction bodies, specifying how much collateral will be consumed if script validation fails. Right, what problem does it solve? Here is the link. I have given it to you. I'm going to give it to those who just came late here so that they can refer to it. Just see. Yeah, there it is. Those who are coming now, here is the link. Just click that link. Believe me, you are going to need that link to get into this. Then let us look at examples of the second group I called data, metadata. That deals with data and metadata. Right, we have got CIP 25 NFT metadata standard. When you create a non-fungible token on the blockchain, you have to give certain information that will describe that your NFT, which we call metadata. The standard, which is 721, is defined by this CIP 25. Then let's go to CIP 68, a data metadata standard. It is the same again. It defines the data metadata standard that is needed that side. So this one extends metadata standards to on-chain output datums, allowing arbitrary JSON metadata to reside in UTXO datums beyond NFTs. What problem does it solve? It bridges the gap between metadata and Bluetooth scripts. There it is on you. Then we've got others, I'll just mention them. We've got Cardano Smart NFTs. Right, we have got a CIP 86 NFT metadata update oracles. What is an oracle? For example, when you are exchanging US dollar to Ether, on the blockchain, you need certain technologies called oracles that are going to be feeding your smart contract with the latest update rate of $1 to Ether, Ether to $1. Those are oracles. Right, then you have got a CIP 102 royalty data metadata. There is the description, go into detail. Normally, you will go into detail on a CIP of your own interest in your project. That affects your project. That one is very important. Right, let us look at group number 3 of CIPs. These ones, we call it decentralized application, wallet integration interfaces. For example, how that you can create an API which can be consumed by your applications that are running on Cardano blockchain. These are the CIPs that are involved. CIP 30 DEP wallet web bridge, CIP 141 web wallet bridge for Bluetooth wallets. Then we've got CIP, this one 104 account public key endpoint. Then CIP 103 bulk transaction signing. So when we are signing a bunch of transactions, this is the CIP that defines the standard to follow. Remember, there are some developers who don't follow this. You need to know about that. There are some developers who are not following that. But it is a good practice to follow them and to know about them. Right, I will apologize to the French communities that this is in English. I'm going to translate it into French and upload it at the same place again. Right, let us go to number 4. This one I think is going to be the other one. There's only one example I have put there, which is about Bluetooth script API enhancement. Script signature unification, what it does. It standardizes the arguments to all Bluetooth script types by removing the separate datum argument, passing only the redeemer and the script context. So here is the problem it solves for you. Right? Last one, the group I have is domain-specific smart contract standard, NFT proxy voting standard, 0071. So what you have seen here is the conclusion. The CIPs form the backbone of Cardano smart contract and actually ecosystem growth by addressing critical needs from lower level UTXO management to high level decentralized application interactions and metadata standards. By understanding and leveraging these proposals, also by you contributing to these, your ideas, some of you are going to be great future engineers. Definitely you are going to come back and learn this. In the beginning, I ignored this. Then later on, when I was developing, I realized that no, there must be a certain standard I should follow so that whoever is going to extend or connect to your API is uniform. Then I went into these CIPs. I found them very, very valuable. So it's not only for developers, like I have said, all other Cardano people who are interested in shaping Cardano in different ways, you can also contribute to this. Right. From here, I'm going to play a video. This video is very, very helpful to all of you. This video is a podcast with the actual creators, early creators of CIPs on Cardano. And some of them are still doing that today. You will see these people in a lot of our communities here. So let me reshare this. I'm going to play this for around 10 minutes. I won't finish the video because I'm going to give all of you the link to that video. Right, let me first give all of you the link to the video. Keep those 2 links and then on your own, go through this video. It is 4 years. Don't say it's 4 years. You will learn a lot about what is affecting you and me about SIP today. Right? Let me share, then play the video for you. So I'll share it in such a way that you can hear the sound. Right, there we go.
It's Saturday morning. How are you doing? What's going on?
Hey, doing great, Philippe. Doing great. Thank you. I'd like to give a shout out to the Cardano Foundation for sponsoring this podcast. Thank you very much, Cardano Foundation. We appreciate your support. I'd also like to remind viewers that this podcast is available on all major audio streaming platforms. So if you're working out or driving in your car, you can listen to the podcast on audio only. So with that said, I would like to welcome Matthias back to the Cardano Effect podcast here. And we have a new guest, Frederick Johnson, who's going to be talking with us about Cardano improvement proposals, how they work. And we're going to start off with, how did CIPs start? Cardano improvement proposals, how did they start? What's the origin? Matthias and Sebastian, would you like to tell us about that, please?
Sebastian, do you want to start or should I?
Yeah, sure. So as you know, we have 2 wallets that are the primary wallets in the ecosystem. One of them is Stateless, which is the full node. And the other one, Yoroi, which is the kind of like client. Now, obviously our teams have to talk a lot with each other to coordinate on functionality, right? For example, when Jormungandr was released, we need to agree, okay, how do we handle Jormungandr wallets? How do we generate the addresses? How do we make sure that if you enter the same recovery phrase, you get the same wallet, all this kind of technical detail. So this requires coordination between us as entities, but I'll say this is not enough if you want to have a truly open ecosystem, right? So if another company wants to make a wallet, they should not have to go talk to Emergo or go talk to ISK to find out the secret sauce. They should be able to find a publicly accessible document that describes exactly how things work and what they need to do to create a wallet that's fully compatible with Yoroi and Daedalus. Now, to do this, we need to have a standardized location to put all these documents. So not only can people go read it, but they can also propose new ideas, which is also important. So if a new company comes into the ecosystem and they say, well, you've done is great, but I need this new thing, they need to have the central repository to propose an idea, discuss the idea, and if people like the idea, then we can eventually move to include it in the ecosystem. So this is, a part of opening our ecosystem to everybody who wants to get involved. And this SIP process is how do we take these ideas, put them in a central location, and have the agreed upon way of discussing and debating any new ideas that are proposed.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea. Is there some history behind this? There's other cryptocurrencies with improvement proposals. What's the history behind that?
Yeah. So, we're not reinventing the wheel here, right? Especially because, as a lot of people know, Cardano is a UTXO blockchain. So a lot of things that applies to Bitcoin can be applied to Cardano to some extent. And Cardano wallets actually make great use of existing proposals that were proposed for Bitcoins, actually. So the hierarchical wallets that we have right now on Yarmogander and the Shelley testnet, they come from originally a Bitcoin paper proposal that was made by community members and a few other things like that. So that was something very interesting that was open and, as Sebastian said, accessible for anyone in the community. And, well, we wanted kind of the same thing for Cardano. Right.
Okay. So can you frame this? Let's take it back. So what is the Cardano improvement proposal? How does it relate to the everyday, investor versus developer versus just random person within the Cardano ecosystem, Cardano enthusiast? Who is it for? What's the purpose?
So if you think of the Cardano improvement proposal process or the improvement proposal process that you have across cryptocurrencies, it's kind of like thinking arbitrarily as a manual or documentation. So for example, your car manual, it has a lot of good information in it, but it's not your car. It's a manual. It gives you some tools that you can use or some information. The same way the Cardano improvement proposal process or the CIP process gets to open up some tools to the community. So it's a platform for communication, as we mentioned, for coordination, but also for information. So you can share details that you want about like a tool that you're building, or for IOHK to share, or for Emergo to share, and for everybody to coordinate on. In regards to investors, traditional users, you have, if you're a community member that wants to propose a new change to the Cardano blockchain, previously there was no straightforward or formalized process to do so. With the CIP process, this is a way to open up to the community so that individual members can propose a change that they want to see implemented. And that change will go through formalized structure so people can discuss it, and it'll be touching all levels, including like Emergo, the Cardano Foundation, and IOHK. So this is the collective process to try to get changes implemented or processes. However, the clear distinction is the addition of a CIP in the repository is just like a new page in your car manual. It might be useful, but it doesn't mean that it's actually being added. It might be just like the special model that has like the sunroof and your car doesn't have it. So it doesn't mean that because it's added in the CIP repository, it's actually added in the protocol. So there's multiple layers of progression that way.
Okay.
That was a great description, Frederick. I like your analogies and examples using a car. And so what are the greatest benefits of using a Cardano improvement process as opposed to a couple of lead system engineers and designers to say, this is how it's going to work, boom, stick to this or you don't get to play. What's the benefits to this process?
Yeah, so I can take that one. So I think there's kind of two groups that may care about this. One is people who are developing software that is not related to the chain itself, right? So for example, a new wallet wants to come in and they have a great idea and they want to have Yoroi or Daedalus introduce this. If they come to us directly and say, hey, I'm a developer, I want this feature, please implement this, and they send it to me via email, there's nothing I can do with that, right? I'm gonna have to ask them, like, can you link to me like a specific document that exactly describes what you want? Then we can have a discussion and we can do a security audit and we can move forward with it. So I think it's a very useful tool for developers. But there's the other set of people, which is the users of the protocol, who may care about treasury funding or who may care about on-chain voting. And those are not directly related to CIPs, the Cardano improvement proposals, but the Cardano improvement proposals make them much easier, right? So for example, imagine you want to make a treasury proposal in the future, and you say, I want to have, $1 million to implement this complex idea or whatnot. The best way to get the money is to have a concrete proposal that you've written that describes exactly what you're going to do, right? So you can make a proposal that says, I want money to build this new feature. And look, we already have a SIP that discusses this in detail, exactly how it's going to work. You can see a history of the discussion about, the pros and cons. And you can see, Mergo signed off on it, IDSK signed off on it. And, this person said it was a good idea. So it leaves kind of an audit trail of the technical discussion that you might not otherwise have.
That's a great example because, right now there is over 100 million ADA in the treasury on the ITN. So I like your example. So Sebastian, let me give you another example here. And if you guys can help walk me through this. Currently, one of the most talked about things is, should we continue the ITN? Like, should we add another month? Now, there are pros and cons to doing that. There's consumption of resources, level of effort. It's going to take a lot of work for a lot of developers to make that happen. So let's say that, can you walk me through it? Let's say this idea gets thrown out there. What is step 1, step 2, and step 3 on how that idea would get introduced to the process? Where would I start?
Right. So the thing about the SIP process is that usually you want to discuss some technical proposal, right? And restarting the ITN is not really a technical proposal. It's kind of, you're restarting the network. So you're not proposing any particular change. What you might see is, for example, imagine we want to restart the ITN. Somebody goes, well, wait a minute. If we restart the ITN and it stays as a separate blockchain forever, maybe we should have some sort of new number in the way addresses are derived. So that if you generate a public key or a private key on the mainnet, it gives you a different private and public key on Jormungandr. Because right now, if you generate a private key on Jormungandr, it'll be the same private key on Haskell Selling mainnet. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a great example. So how would I start that process?
And so what you would do is you would go to the SIP repository and you can say, we want to do a Jormungandr reboot. We want to have a new Genesis block. And to make sure that there are no problems with the existing Haskell mainnet, we think we need to change the following things. We need to change the address derivation, maybe change something else, blah, blah, blah. And you package this all up into one document, and just a markdown document, like a kind of a Word file. And you put this up there on the GitHub repository. And then you send this to the ITN community, right? You post on Telegram, post on Twitter, and you tell them, this is what I think we need to do to make sure that the ITN could stay as a separate blockchain and work together well with the existing mainnet. And then everybody in the ITN community can read this document and say, okay, now I know exactly what the change was going to stay the same. And if one of the pool operators looks at it and goes like, well, wait a minute, what if we need to change this? Then we can have a discussion and figure out, okay, like based on their experience, they know this needs to change, and we can have a discussion about exactly what we need to change to do this reboot.
Okay, that sounds good. So it sounds like the process it'll encourage community buy-in, and it will get a lot of people thinking on it so that you would hope to achieve the best possible solution. So is that the general idea?
Yeah, generally, I think that for big changes like restarting the ITN and so on, we're talking about like a separate class of proposal even. So it's likely outside, I think, of the frame of the CIP. The CIPs are very focused on the chain, on Cardano itself, but what you're talking about might be like constitutional, some way of a little bit bigger than that. Again, the CIP is just a tool to be used, but it doesn't force you to use it as the tool. The changes that IOHK is currently pushing in Cardano are changes that are not like CIP driven. They've been like research driven, and they've been implemented and planned ahead of time. It's not something that is magically coming just right now with the CIP process. The CIP is just coming together to help the community see what is currently being proposed by other members of the community or new people within IOHK or Emurgo.
Yeah,
So-
you might see the CIP as like a catalog of solutions to existing problems or the problems that might exist, right? People think, okay, if considering this particular problem, I have thought of this technical solution. And then the solution is laid down on the paper. You have the rational motivations. You have some possibly, ideas of implementation for that particular solution. And then if you're building an application and you run into the problem, well, you already have a solution that has been reviewed by people and, thought of. So you might not even need to put the effort yourself into thinking about finding a solution. It's already there for you, right? So the idea is really to share that.
So go ahead, Sebastian. Sorry.
Yeah, I think something that might help people understand is, imagine we go back to the treasury example I mentioned earlier, right? So somebody wants to make a treasury proposal. To have a higher chance of a treasury proposal being accepted, they first write a technical document that says exactly how their new feature is going to work. Okay, so they said, okay, I'm going to write a SIP. I'm going to submit it to the Cardano Improvement Proposal repository, and they have a long discussion about it. And at the end of the day, it's possible Emurgo approves, IOHK approves, maybe other people in the community approve. And then when they make the treasury proposal as a motivation for why they should get funding, they say, I like my idea, these are the benefits, plus all these other people also cited a good idea. But just because they got a SIP approved does not mean the treasury proposal be approved, right? So we could have a perfectly valid SIP that everybody thinks is a good idea and is part of the Cardano Improvement Proposal repository, but it was never implemented into the protocol, right? So it's as mentioned before, it's a catalog of ideas where people can discuss ideas, vet ideas, and so on. But just because it's approved as a SIP does not mean it will get funding, does not mean it will pass non-chain vote, does not even mean it will be included into the protocol in any way.
Is there a decision tree that decides what SIP, who develops it? Like if it's a community volunteer developer who's then now going to be funded for that, or if it falls in the domain of Emurgo because it's an Emurgo related responsibility or an IOHK related responsibility, does that take place in the SIP process also? Like we say, no, that's definitely something that IOHK needs to do, or definitely something Emurgo needs to do, or how's that work?
Not really, because you could have more than one person implementing a proposal, right? For instance, there is right now a SIP that we've written with Sebastian's, and we have implemented that in both Yoroi and Daedalus, right? So that was something we needed to agree on during the ITN, and it was easier to write a document clearly describing that. Also because then other wallets like Adalite, for instance, might also use that to implement the same thing as us and be compatible with the same wallets. So there is no one implementer of a CIP, and who is going to implement the CIP is also out of scope in a way. That goes for the treasury proposals, possibly, or through other channels, but the CIP stops at explaining what the idea is. Who is going to implement that? It's out of the picture a bit. And it might not even get implemented, right? There are a lot of proposals there, to go back to the Bitcoin land, for instance, that are there on the Bitcoin proposal also as well, and that have never been implemented. So it might be the case as well that we have some SIP that are very good idea, but there are still just no use case for them or no business case for them.
Okay, so SIP may get approved, but it might sit on the shelf for a year, 2 years, or forever.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay.
I think another example I think might help people understand is with Ethereum. So if you're familiar with Ethereum, at some point there was a large bug that caused millions of dollars to be frozen, right?
Oops.
And now obviously the people who lost the money were upset that this happened. And so they created an Ethereum improvement proposal saying, okay, if we were to unfreeze the funds, this is what we need to change in the protocol. We need to change this line of code, we need to change how this works, and this is how we would unfreeze the fund. And they packaged this as an Ethereum improvement proposal. Now, the fact that they created this proposal does not mean anybody will actually implement this. And as you can see, this proposal was made years ago, and nobody ever implemented it, and nobody seemingly at the time now wants to implement this, right? So it's possible to have a completely valid proposal that describes technically how you would do something and the goal and so on, but just because it's technically sound does not mean anybody actually wants to implement it.
Okay, so in a decentralized environment, I could see how that could occur. And you know, the nice thing is that in Cardano, we've looked at other blockchains, what they're doing and how it's working. We're learning from other blockchains and using that to make a better or make a logical Cardano.
Thank you very much for paying attention. I've allowed your mics now. Let us get into some questions. I think you might have a lot of questions from what I have. If you have a comment, if you have a question, you are welcome. Now, you put up your hand, then I can give you a chance. You can ask, you can comment. There are some here maybe who are already developers. You are welcome. I didn't see you when we were introducing others. And we are free to assist others by giving them a little bit of description about CIPs from your own experience. All right, questions?
I think you're muted, sir.
Thank you, Dylan. What I was saying is I've given you links. Get those links for now. I've introduced you to CIPs. They mustn't be strange to you again. Sometimes when you read a SIP for the first time, mistakenly might be difficult to some, but let's make our live sessions every day. We discuss them, we understand what they are doing into details. Because these are documents that have been put forward, that are being implemented in some way, one way or another in the Cardano ecosystem. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Dylan, over to you. Thank you very much.
Yes. So the Cardano improvement proposal, does it cover? Okay, from my understanding, it covers both the technical and the non-technical aspects of Cardano.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Let me give you two examples. One is non-technical, but remember, the Cardano biggest technology is the blockchain, which is one of the top 10. Starting with the Bitcoin, which have revolutionized the whole world. Okay. So now, how does the community of thousands and thousands of millions of people get to discuss certain improvements and direction of their community? So this is where they can cover non-technical things. CIP 1694 was about decentralized governance, and then having a constitution and decentralized governance, but still on the Cardano blockchain. We are one of the few blockchains where we have got a decentralized governance that is on the blockchain, allowing each different communities, like right now, we've got over 70 different communities who are right now getting votes to withdraw millions from the treasury, which was not there before. Before we relied on Genesis, on what you call it, Genesis entities, Emuko, IOG, and Cardano Foundation. But right now, on the decentralized, this is a very, very big improvement on the community. We vote, we are D-reps, and then we are no longer relying on one stream of funding or one area for certain decisions. So, but how do we unify our different ideas together? CIP 1694 is one side. And then we've got CIP 30, 31, 32, which deal with smart contract. We've got other CIPs that deal with the ledger. So you are right. They tackle some non-technical and technical areas of the Cardano ecosystem. And anyone, if you listen carefully, anyone can make use of this platform. On the GitHub is open source, and then you can go there and then put in your idea. There is another section on that video which talks about funding. When I give my ideas to the Cardano and they improve Cardano a lot, do I get funding? If I do get funding, how do I get funding? How much? But currently what I know is if you have authored a CIP, like you see Sebastian there, that picture, he was not there physically, you saw a picture, that's Sebastian. He has done a lot of CIPs. He has done a lot. Or you saw the other who also co-authored CIPs with him. How much do they get paid for that? All I can tell you now is don't do it to be paid. But when you do it, it definitely makes you recognized. If the majority of communities, they adopt your idea, and worse, if they implement it on the Cardano blockchain or on the smart contract side, then it opens doors for you. You can go to the Catalyst and request for funds to implement your ideas. Or even sometimes you can go to the Catalyst and request for funds to create a CIP with a community, because sometimes some of it might require a lot of research so that you don't repeat what is there, and again, you don't just bring about something that is not researched. So the door is open for everyone. The most important thing is don't ignore a CIP, especially the one that is being implemented. I will quickly give you the stages when you are the stages of a CIP. Number one, there is a draft. So which means the first time you go there, you create a draft. Well, it's not a proposal, so it is on the draft side. No one is going to look at it. Then next, it becomes a CIP proposal. But that proposal, remember, is not active, it's not voted. It will stay there. When certain people vote for that proposal and they like it, then it can come into the next stage where it is active. Then active proposals can be approved or also disapproved. So when it's disapproved or rejected, then you can take it back to the draft. Maybe you can refine it. You can read why it was rejected. What about if it gets approved? It can be approved and stay there as a CIP. Doesn't mean when it's approved, automatically it must be implemented. It might require funds. Other communities can go there and request for funds to implement a certain CIP. We can go and look at CIPs that are very good for our projects, and then go and request funds on the catalyst to say, I want to create such an application that is going to use this CIP because this will solve 1, 2, 3. The Cardano communities are happy with your application. Definitely what they are going to do, they are going to vote for your proposal. And then you do a prototype. Then when the prototype proves that this thing really improves Cardano, then you can apply again. You can apply as a team or as a group of different projects. And then it can be implemented. What do you mean when it's implemented? If it's something about the blockchain improvement, expansion, or whatever, making it either faster, scalable, better, and more secure, it will be now implemented there. Then it will be announced to everyone to say, we are going to implement this CIP so that we receive this and this and this and this. And then from there, it becomes implemented. Doesn't need to be technical. It can be something that will benefit the Cardano ecosystem. Any other question? We are exactly 8 o'clock. Our time is up. Thank you so much. You can have fireworks. I think I've opened up a lot of your understanding of Cardano system. It is a massive ocean of technologies within it. But for me, I realized CIP is one of the main areas one must know. If you didn't understand this because maybe it was a little bit too technical, I'll give you one example. Think of trains in the beginning. When they created trains in the beginning, did you know that there was no one standard of a railway line? Each vendor who was building up a train had his own railway where his trains were moving. Some were the wider rail, narrow, some maybe, I don't know. Imagine somebody could have created a 3-lane rail. There was no standard. Then eventually at some point, a standard was developed. And eventually right now, you see a rail line for where a train moved, follow a certain standard agreed upon. And now you can buy a train from another country. It will run on your own country railway line. It's the same here. Thank you very much. Let us call it a day for today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Let's
sir.
call it a day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Prefina. I really appreciate today. It was a little bit with more people. Sorry to the French community. I'll request next time we cater for you. Please, you can be assured I'm going to translate that into French. I see a lot of French members here. Thank you, yes. And others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Olatejo. Awesome. It is very much humbling for you people to be so humble. Thank you very much. God bless you.